Welcome to the You Can Be Unstoppable podcast. My name is Ewelina Szczeblewska, your host and certified hypnotherapist. In this podcast, I will share with you how to tap into the power of your subconscious mind. I intend to share with you how learning how to use the power of your subconscious mind can help you to create a successful and abundant life with ease, how to connect with yourself while fostering a healthy relationship with your body and mind. Tapping into the power of the subconscious mind will help you to learn how to manage your emotions, become more resilient and present in all of your relationships. Self-love and self-worth are the keys to the kingdom of success and abundance, to happy and healthy life on your terms. Hey, how are you? And happy Valentine's Day. Today is a Valentine's Day, although this episode is not going to come out till Thursday, but I wish you the most loving, kind, and caring relationship that you can have with yourself, because that is by far the most important relationship that you can ever have. Anyway, that is by far the most important relationship you can have, because that relationship then will determine everything else in your life. Back to today's episode. Are you stuck in a time warp? What do I mean by that? Are you stuck in a time warp? So, are you stuck in the past or anxious about your future? And that's what I mean by being stuck in a time warp, and so many of us are guilty of this, including myself, because as someone who used to struggle so much with anxiety, although I really didn't identify myself as someone who's anxious. If anything, I would say I may be more prone to depression, but actually, I was a very anxious person because I would overthink. I would worry about the future. I would ponder what ifs over and over. I couldn't make a decision because of what if I didn't trust myself because of the past. So even if we're anxious, we recreate the past at the same time, and that is exhausting. And I was exhausted because I didn't seem to be able to change my life whatever I did. And so I want you to consider that our true home when we are the happiest is now, in a present moment, which can be challenging considering the type of world and society and communities that we live in today. And if we think about the past and the future, so past is done, it happened, there's not much you can do about that, it can be changed, and the future is not promised. And sometimes we are worried about future events, and some of them may happen, some of them may not. And I can't remember who said this. This person, I think it was a man, said, I used to worry a lot about future events, and some of them actually happened. And that's the problem about anxiety and worrying about the future, because we are projecting into the future. We're putting our attention on something that hasn't happened yet. Because we're putting our attention over there, we keep thinking about this, we are sending those signals to the universe that this is what we want. And unconsciously, we are actually creating the very thing that we don't want, because we always find what we seek. Always. So if, for example, you want to find a kind people in your life, if you seek for them, you will find them. If your belief is that there's no good people around you and you seek them, you will find them. It's one of those rules. You always seek what you find. So be careful what you are seeking, what you are looking for. Where is your attention? And I know from my own experience, the living in and now, really being present, enjoying my life as it is right now, makes us happier, more grounded, and more balanced. We get to this point, we don't need to heal any emotional hurts or demons from the past, because if we don't, and I've been there, I had those glimpses of being present and really loving my life, but I've always recreated the past. I always went back to the struggle because that was something I believed about a life on an identity level. I was addicted to struggle. And when I realized this, when my coach pointed out to me, and I'm like, are you talking about? I'm not like, that's not me. Then when I actually looked into it and looked at my life, and I'm like, holy moly, I think she's right. And she totally was. We normalize struggle. I watched my mum struggle. She was in a vicious cycle of struggle, and I created exactly the same life, although it looks different. And if you look at your life, if there's something that it doesn't work, maybe in the 40s, and you still can find a loving, kind relationship that you are craving so much. Maybe your business or your career is not where you want them to be. Maybe your health is suffering. Maybe you are overweight. Maybe you living on money in, money out. There's something that you want to change, but you can't seem to do it. Whatever you do, always go back to your old habit. I highly encourage you to look into your habits, stories, beliefs that we usually create way back when we were children, before the age of 7 for the most part, but not always this. Also capacity to create more later on. But usually the first 7 years are so crucial and important. It's not really good to spend too much time in the past or the future. Sure, we can look there every now and again and say, like, oh, remember those holidays? It was amazing. Or, creating goals for the future. And, you want to set a direction of your life. You want to know where you're going. You don't want to spend too much time there, because life happens right now. And because we've learned who we are and how we're supposed to show up and what we expect of ourselves, whether we are fully conscious of it or not, from the past experiences, because we've learned this in the past, it doesn't always work for us to continue to hold on to those past beliefs or stories. And because mostly they are unconscious, unless you've done some work and you are aware of some of it, we live in this matrix that we can't seem to know how to create the life that we want, and not what has been designed for us because of what we watched and observed and learned during the first few years of our lives. And I kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier, but many present anxieties have roots in the past, even if we are unable to trace them. So I know that a lot of my past anxieties were rooted in the past because I was anxious not to repeat them. And because I was anxious of them and I had my attention on them, I basically did it. I did exactly the very thing I didn't want to do. Worrying about the future. It's so draining. Oh my God, it's totally exhausting. And stress is not very good for us, as you can imagine. And I'm pretty sure you probably know the stress is one of the biggest killers. And, we can't change the past, as I said, even if we try really hard and we try to make the amends. So we overwork, over deliver, deny ourselves the pleasures. We riddled with guilt or regrets and we try to change the past, it doesn't work. Best thing we can do is to let go and move on. So, considering what I said earlier, that our reality is a reflection of who we are and how we see ourselves, and I know that may be hard to accept because it took me a while to really wrap my head around it. Best thing we can do is actually just accept it and start letting go and work on ourselves. That's the best course of action that we can do. Because whatever happened in the past, it's not my fault, it's not your fault. It happened, but it's our responsibility. It's my responsibility, it's your responsibility to take charge of your life, to heal, to work on yourself, to work on your beliefs, to evaluate your stories despite what happened to you in the past. Because holding on to your past, it's only going to recreate the very thing that you don't want because you're going to be anxious, feeling guilty about something that happened to you or you did something to someone else or whatever that is for you. And let's say if you have a business and you're not attracting the kind of income that you want, you're not attracting the kind of clients that you want, I want you to take a journal out and ponder a few questions. Ask yourself a few questions, such as how do you show up in your business? Are you actually showing up 100%? Or are you coming up with many excuses why you cannot do X, Y, and Z because it's inconvenient or difficult, or it's the story that you tell yourself that is difficult? Are you really responsible for the outcomes that you say that you want? Are you doing all the things that you said that you will on your to-do list? Are you overwhelmed with too many things on your list? Do you feel good enough to do the work with your clients that you do? Or do you secretly feel like you need more courses? You feel like you can't charge more? Do you spend a lot of your time on the busy work, not on the things that actually will move the needle for you? Do you network? Do you reach out to people? And I really invite you to be honest with yourself, really radically honest. And I know that can be really hard. And examine your beliefs, your habits, your stories, your life. And if you're not sure where to start, look at your life and say, okay, is the area in my life somewhere that I want to change? What is it about that I can't seem to get a handle on? What do I need to do? What I need to change? What are my stories and beliefs around that? Because, for example, again, going back, if you have a business and you have an underlying belief, for example, that rich people are not to be trusted because maybe you heard your parents judging your neighbors because they had quite a lot more money, they were well off. And now because you heard your parents talking about it all the time, somewhere in the depths of your subconscious, you've got this belief that rich people are not good because of what your parents were telling or talking, saying about them. And it will affect how do you show up because it's a conflict between your conscious goals and desires and your subconscious beliefs. Perhaps you've got a belief that it's a saturated market, it's a very difficult market, economy is in a decline, da 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 da, and it's just really difficult to get clients. How do you think that is going to affect the way you show up? Maybe your belief is that you don't have what it takes. You don't have enough time, you don't have enough money, you don't have enough resources, connections, you name it. How do you think that is going to affect your perception of what you do and how you show up and subconsciously? Because your belief, your story is that you don't have what it takes, and what we seek, we always find. Or you have a belief it's hard to grow your business. Well, if that is your story or your belief, how do you think, again, going back to the same question, will affect the way you show up? So, the blueprint that we all have, my blueprint is not the same as yours because I grew up in a different household, in a different country, and my blueprint is going to be different. So we all have unique blueprints, but they are directing how we show up in the world. The other way, say it's that ego that is protecting us. So to kind of give you a visual, if you split your brain into half and you've got that subconscious and conscious part of your brain, in the subconscious there's the ego there that is protecting us, because the brain's number one job is to keep us alive. And if your belief is that it's hard to grow your business and you don't have what it takes, that ego will be there protecting you, keeping you small, keeping you away from the very thing that you need to do, from the people that you need to reach out. You will miss opportunities because you just won't see them. Because we create who we are and not who we want to be. And it's physics. We attract who we are. So the external reality is the reflection of who we are on the inside, the identity, that self-image, those beliefs and stories that we hold play a huge part here. And there's many tools out there that you can use. You can use hypnosis, mindfulness, meditation, ancient wisdom, many tools, NLP that you can use to help yourself. And what I know from experience that after working with me, my clients are more emotionally resilient, they are more confident, courageous, they trust themselves to do the thing they want and they say they want. They show up as the best version of themselves with a calm and focused inner voice. And as a result, the income grows, the relationships improve, and they are happier as they live the lives that they desired for so long, that because they feel confident to reach out, to ask for what they need and desire with unstoppable confidence and that inner trust that they can deal with whatever happens in their life. They've got that phenomenal coping skills, and that's what's needed. You need that emotional resilience, responsibility, courage, integrity, self-trust. And if you've got underlying beliefs that are getting in the way, like not feeling good enough or not qualified enough, or some beliefs around money and that you need to work hard to achieve anything, is a clash. And your subconscious will always win. So if that sounds like something you want to research, you want to try for yourself, it's something that you want, you're like, hey girl, I'm in, I really want to work with you, then reach out, get in touch, because there is never a better time than now. And again, I wish you a very happy post Valentine's Day when you're going to hear this, because loving yourself is the best thing you can do for yourself.
Thank you for listening. If you found value in this podcast, I would like to ask you to leave a positive review explaining how this episode helped you to improve your life. I ask you to do this because this will help other people to improve their lives as well. Share and spread the love all around you. Raise your vibrations to improve your life. If you would like more transformational content like this, connect with me on Instagram. You can find a link in the description of this podcast, and I'll see you over in the next episode.